So in my book, this one, the Healthy Mind Toolkit, which just went on sale, I have a chapter with 21 strategies for reducing procrastination and avoidance. And the idea is that any reader is going to find, say, 6 or 7 that work for that appeal to them and work for them, and then they're going to have a toolkit of strategies where whenever they're facing something where they have the urge to avoid or procrastinate, put it off, that there's going to be a strategy in their toolkit that's relevant and feels achievable to them for that particular issue. And I guess I just want to briefly mention the really simple one that I use by far the most. And that's when I have something that I have an urge to avoid, I don't put a lot of pressure on myself to actually complete the whole task. What I do is I just knock off one step of it, or 1 or 2 little steps of the task. An example might be, I had a rebate form that I needed to complete and mail in for some building supplies, and the rebate was like an 11% rebate, and it was on a $2,500 purchase, so it was quite a decent chunk of change in this rebate. And I was, I guess, anxious about not doing it correctly and somehow screwing up the rebate, to the extent that I kept having thought intrusions about whether I'd missed the date for submitting it, and keeping on checking the date and seeing that I hadn't. And I hadn't done one of these rebates before, so I hadn't gone through the process, and I was nervous that somehow I wouldn't follow the instructions correctly and that I'd somehow get it wrong and miss the rebate. And what I ended up doing was just doing some little chunks of it to get started. So for example, I addressed I went on my computer and I typed out the address and I printed it onto an address label and stuck it on the envelope. And there'll often be tasks that I've got the urge to avoid where I just do a little bit just to get started, and then maybe the next time I do another wee step. And just doing a few steps every now and again ends up getting the task done, or ends up getting me over avoidance about really jumping into the task. So for writing an article, it might be something like that I paste the brief, so my instructions for writing the article, I might paste that into a Google Doc and put a heading on the Google Doc. Or I might spend, say, 30 minutes on Google Scholar looking up research studies for the article. So if you break your tasks down into all the steps involved in that task, you can just do a few of those steps to start nibbling away at the edges of the task to the point where it doesn't feel like something you need to avoid anymore. One of the things to remember when you do this is that there are often a lot more steps involved in a task than we really see. So for example, you might need to make a phone call as part of a task. Well, one of the steps involved might be actually finding the phone number that you need to call, and then making the phone number. So that's kind of 2 steps. And if you're anxious about something, it pays to break things down into really small steps, so that maybe making the call feels too anxiety provoking today, but likely just finding the phone number doesn't feel too anxiety provoking. So if you are still feeling anxious about completing some steps of the task, just break the steps down even further and find a step that doesn't feel anxiety provoking and go with that.